Hello, welcome to ESE 13, the ocean. So this is a geology course that focuses on oceanography, study of the ocean. This is a brief introductory video to show you how to use the course in Blackboard and hopefully to alleviate any confusion and also let you know about the amount of time this course should take you every week so that you can commit to that time, especially if the class starts after the add drop period for courses. So hopefully you're seeing on the screen right now your Blackboard. You click on Blackboard, log in, you'll see your courses up here in the left. I teach two sections of ESC, one at 2 p.m. and one at 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. So you would click on the appropriate section that is your course, and it will come up with our Blackboard for the course. So it should look something like this. Now, a lot of students, every time there's a new quiz, a new lab that's opened up, you'll see something hopefully in the announcements. A lot of kids, students like to click on these and just do those. But really, unless you know the syllabus and exactly what assignments are coming due, this may only get you part of the things that you need to do every week. So I've set the course up so that it is very easy to do a checklist type style run through of every week of the course. So what you'll want to do, if you haven't logged into Blackboard, it may look like this. You may not see anything on the left side. So you'll need to click on this little right arrow here to open up the menu panel. Then in the menu panel, go ahead and click on Content. So in Content, you'll see a bunch of features. You have the syllabus. We'll talk about that more in the first lecture on February 3rd. Below that, you have how to send emails through Blackboard to myself or to any other student in the class, so you can use that. The other tool is My Grades, so you can click on the My Grades tool, and every time I enter a grade into the grade book, it will let you know what that grade is, and it'll also calculate what your percentage total for the class is. So you can always keep up with that. Also, I have a calendar in here, so again, if you don't know exactly what's due, you can always click on the calendar and it will show you everything that's due for our class in one color. If you have other instructors who are using Blackboard and entering due dates for their assignments, you'll see their assignments there as well. And so this will help you plan out your week. As you can see, this first week you have a number of assignments. You have 2 pre-quizzes and a post-quiz that you could do in this time frame. Again, it's the first week, and so generally speaking, you don't have this many pre-quizzes. A more typical week you may have a lab due, and you'll have a post-quiz and a pre-quiz that you have to get done, as well as attending the lectures at, like I said, either 2 p.m. or 6 p.m. So moving into content again, we have our online textbook. The online textbook is free. You click on this link, it will take you to the textbook. And if you click on that link, you'll see all the different chapters. So you may have to go into the syllabus to figure out which chapter you're supposed to be doing, but that is listed in the syllabus and also will be in the walkthroughs of what needs to be done for each week. So week 1 was the 29th to the 31st. That's a Friday through Sunday. There weren't any Wednesday classes, so we didn't meet during the first week of school. Week 2 will be our first meeting. So if you go into, again, content, and then you click on week 2, the one with the February 3rd lecture, I've set it up so that you can just walk down the list of things that are in this folder. So the first thing would be to read the chapter, and if you click on this link, it'll take you right to the chapter that you're supposed to read. After that, you click on this link, it will take you to the pretest based on what you read. So it'll ask you questions to make sure that you read the material. I'll try and have a video or 2 short videos. This week you have this introductory video and then also a TED Talk video here, and there will be questions to answer based on that video. And these are short little to the point. Sometimes I'll make them about the chapter that we're reading. Sometimes it'll be material from outside of the book. Just go ahead and read the questions beforehand. Watch the video, taking notes about the questions I asked you to talk about. And then after that, you'll go to the discussion board. When you click on the discussion board, it will take you to an area where you can then answer these questions. You'll want to come back to the discussion board a couple times during the week so that you can respond to other students' questions and make comments about what you found similar or different from how they answered the questions. So you have to answer all the questions I ask in this prompt here, and you have to answer a couple of the students, your other students' responses. Then we'll have the February 3rd meeting. And in that meeting, it will be through Blackboard in Collaborate. So you could click on this link, and at 2 or 6 o'clock, we would start meeting, and I'll record part of those, the lecture part of those talks that we have. Then I usually will film a little lecture on what the lab is, how to do the lab, and walk you through some of the websites. The labs aren't in their own textbook. They're actually sources from throughout the World Wide Web and the internet. So it could be a little bit tricky sometimes to get these to work. We'll go over that more in lecture. But you'll have a little video of what I expect. Now, there isn't a lab due every week. Usually you have a couple weeks to do the labs. So this will carry over for multiple assignments. But you should at least come in, watch the video the first week so that you know what to expect. And then you can come into the lab materials and start doing those. So in the lab materials, what you have is in this very first one, you have an example of what a lab report should look like. So this can be an example you can use to write your own lab reports. There will be a lab report after every lab. So then here is the next line is the document that has all the links and the questions. You have to go to all the links, read all the material, watch all the videos, and then answer the questions that you're asked in these labs. There is a quiz that if you click here, it will take you to the quiz, and this is kind of to prove that you actually went through the lab material and understood it. And when you finish the quiz and you've done all the lab material, you can write up the lab report. You would click on this to write up the lab report, and it would be similar to how this one right here is written. So in this one, because this is on careers, it's basically rewrite the questions that I ask you and answer all those questions in the data portion of the lab. So that'll be the data. Sometimes you'll actually do online experiments or stuff like that, and you would be expected to put that in the data. In this first lab, it will just be answers to the questions and the answers to the questions. And then you'll turn in the lab report by February 17th. So again, you have a couple weeks to get that done. Then if we come back to week 2 here, after you've worked on the lab for a little bit, the last thing that you would do would be a post quiz. Now, since there wasn't any material last week, you don't have a post quiz, but starting next week, you will, after February 3rd, you would have a quiz on the reading material again and what you've learned from the lecture. So that's always the last thing you do in a week, or the first thing you do in the next week, depending on how you want to look at it. And so if we come back to next week's, you can see it already. You could start next week's reading and do the quiz, and you'll have the post-test will be here to remind you to do the post-test for the chapter 2 lecture in reading so that you don't forget to do it. So I've set this up hopefully so that you can follow it very easily, know where everything is, and not miss any assignments just because you didn't know about them. Now, some people may not want to go through every single week step by step by step, so you can also access them directly in the panel over here. So you can get into Collaborate, for instance, just by clicking on the Collaborate, and there would be for the 2 p.m. class, here is your link to get into the lecture at 2 p.m. on February 3rd. In the 6 p.m. class, you'll have one that says 6 p.m. This is also where you could come to find the recordings. We don't have any recordings yet, but once we have them, or you could come here. Also, each week we'll have a link to the recording, so you can come back to the content and find it that way. If you wanted to go to the discussions directly, you can just click on discussions and figure out what's going on there from the syllabus. Or if you just want to go straight in and see what quizzes are due, you can see you have a quiz, the pre-quiz for chapter 2, and if you had finished the lab, you could do the lab quiz straight here. So you don't have to go directly into the content. And then finally, if you just want to go straight to the labs, you'll find all the lab information in the lab tab. But at least for the first few weeks, I really do suggest that you just come over and follow step by step, because you can think this class is 3 hours of lecture traditionally and 3 hours of lab traditionally. So it's been designed to have about 6 hours of time just to do all the assignments that I've put up. Then you have to factor in some time to read the material. This would have been homework, but now since the entire class is online, it's just additional work. But maybe give yourself an hour, hour and a half to read the chapter and finish the pre-quiz. Give yourself, 15-20 minutes to fill out the discussion, 15 minutes to watch the video. Do the lab, a couple hours a week on the lab to get it done. So really, in the first lecture, we'll talk about this. I'm going to ask you to fill out a schedule. And I'm going to ask you to actually, put in all your work schedule, anytime you have to take care of somebody else or something like that. Fill out your weekly schedule and show me the 10 hours in the week that you have dedicated for this class. Because it's not an incredibly difficult class, but it does take a lot of time that you have to invest in the class to get a good grade. And this has been shown throughout the time that I've been giving this, is that everyone can pass the class. There's not a lot of math involved that will trip you up. It's just you have to invest the time in the readings and the materials to understand the concepts. If you don't spend the time, it's not something that you can just do the night before. So please, walk through each one of these steps. If it seems like it's taking you longer than you would expect, that's where you could get a hold of me. If you look at faculty info, it shows my email address and my office hours, which I'll be running with Zoom. And so we can make time, if you can't meet me Wednesdays or Thursday mornings, we can set up other times to communicate. And I always check email couple times a day, so I try and get back to you pretty quickly. And your other classmates will also be sources of information and help, in that we have 2 sections. You will be able to join the lecture in either of those sections. I'll put a guest link for Collaborate in the 2 p.m. section for the 6 o'clock session, and in the 6 o'clock section I'll put a guest link to the 2 o'clock session. So you need to talk with your other classmates, and we'll have a little bit of time during lectures to do that, so that, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you need an answer, maybe one of your classmates is up when I'm not up. And I'll see you on February 3rd. Hopefully you've watched this beforehand, and we can have more detailed discussions on how the class will run. There will be a link for this so that you can watch it again if you get confused in the first couple weeks. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon.